Okay, welcome everybody to the weekly Parsha Zera Shimshon. This is Bahaloischa. It's Yud Zion Sivan. It's Toiv Sivan. And welcome everybody to the Shir. And this will be, again, a little bit shorter because we had a really busy week this week in Eretz Yisrael, including Chasna last night from the Bruckensteins. So, but this is a very interesting little Parsha. It's got a lot of chaymer, got a lot of deep stuff in it. So this one I picked because it seems to send a message for all of us. Okay, so there's a holiness through the Vayem Hashem el Moshe Esfali Shivim Ish Miziknei Yisrael Asher Yadata Ki Heim Ziknei Ha'am V'Shaitcha V'Lakachta Isam Eloi Amoya V'His Yatzavu Sham Imach. So Hashem said to Moshe, gather to me 70 men from the elders of Israel. Zaki means, of course, they have to be Misha Kana Chachma is Nikar Zachar. Somebody that's a wise person in Torah is called a Zakein. So, whom you know to be the elders of the people and its officers. They didn't necessarily need to be elders. That's a bad, no, not a bad translation, but just misinformation here. It could have been younger, but they had to be knowledgeable in Torah. Okay, and that's in its office. And to take them to the tent of meeting and have them stand there with you. Okay, so what is he going to do? He's going to make a gairol. He's going to make a lottery. The Gemara in Sanhedrin Daf and in 17a, which is the same as Yud Zion Sivan today, relates the process by which Moshe Rabbeinu chose the elders of Klal Yisrael. The Gemara explains that Moshe Rabbeinu chose 6 elders from each tribe. Okay, so 6 times 12 is 72. He placed 6 notes in a box for each tribe, 72 in total. On 70 of the notes, he wrote the word Zakein, which means elder or knowledgeable. Okay, older. 2 he left blank. Well, he only needed 70 for the Sanhedrin. Then he told the elders to choose notes. Whoever chose a note with the word Zakein was told, Hashem has sanctified you. Whoever came up with an empty note was told, Hashem has made his decision. There is nothing I can do for you. All right. That's pretty bad. So I would have felt bad. But why did Moshe have to write the word Zakein on 70 of the notes while leaving 2 blank? What is this process? Why not do it the opposite way? Leaving 70 blank while writing on just any mark or even just the word no on 2 slips. This way he would have to fill out 2 notes, making it much easier to fulfill the task. The Goral, the casting of lots, was done with assistance from the Shekhinah. The lottery's job was not only to choose which of the elders would become prophets, but actually to instill on them the power of prophecy through the Goral itself. It was therefore necessary to write the word Zakein on the note, because one of these notes, it was these very notes that would set the image for the investment of holiness in the elders. Therefore, when the tzaddik stuck his hand in the box and pulled out a note with the word Zakein, it was considered as if he had just been coronated with an elder, with all the holiness and wisdom that came along with the robe. On the other hand, when the note was blank, it was clear that the person who pulled out the note out of the box was not being told anything or given any instructions. Blank. I mean, it sounds like a pachaponim, but let's get, there was nothing wrong with not getting an answer. We find the same idea regarding the lottery that the Torah commands us to cast in the Beis HaMikdash on Yom Kippur, which is in Yom Daf Yomi, right? Where one goat is offered to Hashem and the other is thrown down a cliff to Azazel. The Gemara explains in Yom Daf in 39a that 2 notes were prepared for the Yom Kippur lottery. One with the name of Hashem and the other one the name La Azazel. Wasn't it enough to write on one of the notes La Hashem and leave it the second blank? Well, no, where it goes. Then the one that came up with the blank slip should have automatically been headed to Azazel. But there was a reason that both notes were filled in. By writing on the notes, one goat was imbued with holiness, Hashem, while the other second goat was given a completely different role, that of subjugating the other side, the Yetzer Hara. The writing on the notes delineating each of their roles was akin to the lottery itself, defining their position and thereby implementing the power of holiness. With this, we can explain why every elder was given a note with the actual word on it, Zaken. It's the Mekadesh, that person. This was the Hashem's way of investing the holiness the elders would need to fulfill their future mission. And the Segula today is very interesting. Our lives revolve around our families, which is why helping our friends and neighbors with Shidduchim may be the greatest chesed we can do. A man called me to inquire about a sefer of Zera Shimshon. I knew who he was, but the man did not know that I recognized his voice and had known him for years. My name, Mendel Schwartzman. Of course, that's a pseudonym. He said, of course, introducing himself, I wanted to know about the Zera Shimshon. Can I ask you about the sefer? Knowing Mendel, I immediately knew why he was calling and with the worry that was on his mind. He had a son in his mid-30s who was still unmarried and who had been searching for a shidduch for many years. The puzzling thing about the story was that the Bacher was actually a solid boy, not the most serious learner in the yeshiva, but a ben Torah and a Yireh Shamayim. It was truly a sad case. The father was a major Talmid Chacham and the kind of man who loved repeating a vertlach from the Svarim that he studied. And I knew that he was exactly the kind of person who would connect to the Sefer. After he asked me a couple of questions about the Sefer, I told him that since he sounded like a Talmid Chacham, I was sure that he was going to really enjoy the Sefer and connect with it. But I have no patience for segulas, he repeated over and over. I don't want segulas, I want testimonials. I want to hear about people who saw Yeshuas. He was talking to me as though it was within my power to change his life. I needed to set him straight. Mendel, I said, there are many people who have learned the Sefer and seen a Yeshua, but I want to make something very clear right now. I guarantee nothing. I have no power to make any guarantees for you, and I would never dream of doing such a thing. The Mechaber of the Sefer wrote that he wrote what he wrote, and it happens to be that many, many people have had been helped. No guarantees. I am just serving as his shliach and trying to help people find out about this tremendous gift. That's all. The Mechaber was that tzaddik, and you know yourself that when somebody goes out of his way to help a tzaddik, the tzaddik goes out of his way to repay the favor. That is just the way things work. The only thing I can say with complete confidence is that you should try your best to help a tzaddik. The tzaddik will do his best for you in return. Okay, so where can I go hold the sefer? Asking. There weren't many copies of the sefer available then in Eretz Yisrael, and I told him that he could pick up a copy at my brother's house. He called me a week later. Rabbi Yisrael, he began, I want to tell you something. What's that? He asked. I asked him. I decided that I want to put together a likut of the Zera Shimshon's pshatim on Sefer Tehillim. What prompted this decision? I'll tell you. The same night that I picked up the sefer from your brother's house, I took it to a shul and learned it from it for a couple of hours. From the sefer's opening lines, I found myself getting excited. You should know that I love Sforim, and the Zera Shimshon is a very sharp sefer filled with extraordinary number of chidushim. I was enjoying it so much that I couldn't stop learning. It was very late at night, but I was still steiging away. I finally finished learning at 11:30 at night. He was quiet for a few seconds. Rabbi Yisrael, my phone rang a little bit before 12 o'clock. He paused. It was someone calling to suggest a shidduch for my son. I have to be honest with you. This was the first shidduch that I had been read to him in this had been first shidduch that had been read to him in months. I immediately understood that it wasn't enough just to learn the Sefer, that I should also add my own twist to the mechaber for the mechaber and above and beyond the actual learning. Reb Yisrael Zilberberg mentioned to me that it's a funny thing but he has seen on many occasions that the people who are moiser nefesh for the Sefer, in whichever way feels right to them, usually merit salvation that much more quickly. I met him 1 month later. Nu, what's happening with your Sefer? I asked, really meaning what's happening with your son. Yes, I'm working on it right now, and Baruch Hashem, my son is seriously involved in a shidduch now as well. We need to keep davening. I'm still learning the Sefer with Hasmada, especially since I'm putting in so much time into putting together the Likut on the Tehillim. His son got engaged the following month. As for the father, whenever I see him, he sidles over to me with a beautiful smile of gratitude and says, "You were right. There's something very special about that Sefer. There's something very special about the Zera Shimshon." Everyone have a wonderful Shabbos and a gesund and a blessed Shabbos.